Day 18, Help My Unbelief. I had been deaf, mute, and suffered epileptic seizures since I was a child. I lived in constant dread and shame, never knowing when a seizure might occur. When it did, I would become rigid and fall down, foaming at the mouth and gnashing my teeth. Several times, I nearly bit off my tongue. Yet my dad never gave up searching for a cure. One day, we saw some of the scribes arguing with some of Jesus' disciples who were waiting for him to come down from the mountain. I could tell my dad was determined to see if the disciples could help me. And though I pleaded with him not to embarrass me, he asked the disciples to pray for me, and they agreed. As they began to pray, a crowd gathered to gawk and to see if anything would happen. But nothing did. Later, Jesus descended from the mountain and asked the scribes what they had been discussing with his disciples. The scribes were unable to answer because my dad yelled, "Teacher, I brought you my son who has a mute spirit. I spoke to your disciples that they should cast it out, but they could not." As Jesus motioned for me to be brought to him, I seized up and started foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked my dad, "How long has this been happening to him?" My dad replied, "It has tried to kill him many times since he was a child. If you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." Jesus declared, "If you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes." My dad could have easily been offended by what Jesus said to him. My dad had sacrificed his entire life to take care of me. But instead of being offended because Jesus said, "If you can believe," my dad asked for more grace, pleading, "Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief." Then Jesus told the spirit, "Come out of him and enter him no more." I had a grand mal seizure and dropped to the ground as if I were dead. Jesus took my hand and lifted me up. I was completely healed, no longer deaf or mute. Hearing sound for the first time was overwhelming, but hearing my dad's voice for the first time was priceless. As we embraced, I spoke my first words, "Daddy, thank you for loving me